Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri, and welcome to the big match. Yes, we are previewing Tottenham Hotspur's trip to Anfield to play Liverpool, the league's number one and number two teams this season, going head to head at the Reds' home. Now, the Reds go into this fixture obviously being in second place. A win would mean we go ahead of Tottenham by 3 points. We're level on points for those of you who don't know. There are other teams in and around us which could, leapfrog the loser from this game. But generally it's just a straight battle for the league leadership right now between Tottenham and Liverpool. I'm excited for this game. I can't lie. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting, very tactically very interesting game because, and I know I've said interesting twice for lack of words, really. But it's going to be tactically engaging, I think, because you've got one side who love to play on the front foot, and the other side who are, Jurgen Klopp mentioned this in his press conference. He said Tottenham, Mourinho's built Tottenham into a result machine, and that's how, that's very impressive, and that's kind of accurate as well because there are a lot of games where they're not on top. I mean, if you look at their game against Manchester City, based off of the stats, you'd think Tottenham. If you didn't know the score, you'd think Tottenham would have lost that game. But Tottenham came out of it with a win, and an impressive win. I mean, nobody looked at that game and saw a Tottenham side that just was backs to the wall and just, whatever we can get, we'll take it. It wasn't that. Like, it was a game plan. Like, it was clinical, it was sharp, it was precise, it was well executed, and, they are very, very impressive. I mean, obviously their biggest talking point, their biggest strength is their defense, as is typical of a Jose Mourinho's team. But obviously, they can score. Son Heung-min and Harry Kane have developed this partnership that, to be fair, it looks genuinely like I'm watching peak Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba back at Chelsea when Jose used to be there as their manager back in like 2004, 2005. So yeah, it has genuinely turned into one of the deadliest partnerships, and it's kind of a nice throwback as well because not a lot of teams play that two-striker system. And to be fair to Tottenham, they don't play a two-striker system as well. I think they have a little more versatility than that, but it's just it's just very, very impressive what Jose Mourinho's got Tottenham doing right now, and I think it's just how. I mean, it's just how impressive they've been throughout the season because I don't think even like when I was doing my preseason predictions, I said Tottenham would finish fifth because, at the time, this was before the season had started, obviously. And, I thought Tottenham made good signings. I think Højbjerg, or, Højberg, or however you want to pronounce his name. I think his name's got like 100 different variations of pronunciation. But, Højbjerg, I'm just going to call him Højberg. Honestly, I'm struggling with Højbjerg or Højbjerg or whatever it is. Højberg, straight up simple. So Højberg, Pierre-Emile Højberg, and he's a good signing. Like I think he's been underrated as the signing of the season. I think he's been very. I think. He'd be up there. Like for me personally, I think he'd be up there as, one of the top three signings of this season. And I know he's not maybe a big name like Gareth Bale, but he's definitely what he's brought to that Spurs midfield. He's brought a little bit of steel to that Spurs midfield, which I thought it lacked in previous years. And Ndombele looks amazing this season. He's taken a while to get used to Jose Mourinho and his style of play, but he's kept his trust in Mourinho. That's the key thing, When you aren't playing as much, you may sort of antagonize the manager, which we saw in that documentary All or Nothing, which Ndombele felt a little left out. But it's just that Jose saw the potential in him, and that's kind of why, he persisted, I guess, with keeping him out. Because he knew if Ndombele turned the corner, I think we all know what kind of a player he can be. And look, his offensive ability was never in question. Even last year, Tanguy Ndombele was, offensively on the ball, he was just amazing. It's just defensively when Spurs didn't have the ball that his work rate just absolutely fell off a cliff. And he's rectified that. And, that's key to a Jose Mourinho side because they defend and counter. And Tottenham is probably the best example of that. They defend and counter. And, they are this sort of team where if you don't give your all, if all 11 players don't give 100% every single game, it's going to be difficult for them to win. And the job that Jose Mourinho has done is incredible. I'd be lying if I said I saw them at the top of the table come Christmas, or near the top of the table come Christmas. I genuinely thought, they'd be. I genuinely thought they'll be in the race for the top four, but I just didn't think they'd be top of the table. But yeah, here we are. It's almost Christmas. It's about 10 days now left for Christmas, and we've got Tottenham at the top of the table. Coming to Anfield for a game against Liverpool. And speaking of Liverpool, obviously we're second in the table, 25 points, level with Tottenham, just one ahead of Leicester City, two ahead of Southampton, three ahead of Chelsea. So a lot of teams involved in the title race. Now, I do think December is probably not the right time to judge them. I think this festive period is what's going to sort out the real contenders, I suppose. I think Tottenham have the ability to cope well with it. I think Liverpool can cope well with it. Leicester could possibly cope well with it. And, you can never rule out City and United, who are always there. Southampton is a little bit more of a question mark. West Ham have had a really impressive run of games after their poor start. So they are sixth right now. But I do think eventually they will regress to the mean. And when I say regress to the mean, I think they'll probably go down towards 10th rather than, relegation zone or something like that. But yeah, I think it's really, really important. As for, Tottenham, the obvious threat is Son Heung-min and Harry Kane, obviously. I think Harry Kane, honestly, the work that he's been doing this season is unbelievable. I think, but, they're not the only threats. That's kind of what I wanted to say. Steven Bergwijn's had a really, really important role to play in the Tottenham side. In Ndombele, like I mentioned before, he needed a little bit more sort of encouragement, a little bit of a push from his teammates, from Jose Mourinho. But the potential was always there, and once he got his act together, like there's no way Ndombele is getting out of this team. And Højbjerg has brought a little bit of steel, like I said. Musa Sissoko works really well in that midfield as well. Just a tank in that midfield, just physical with a lot of stamina to go the full 90 minutes pretty much. Mourinho said he thinks Hugo Lloris is the best keeper in the world. I would disagree. But, that's personally because I think Jan Oblak and Marc-Andre ter Stegen and Alisson are a little bit ways clear. Now, him and Ederson, Lloris and Ederson, I can understand the comparison. And I do think, maybe this year, Lloris sort of edges Ederson out a little bit. They've got a lot of threats. They've got a lot of strengths in their team. They've also got youngsters who've come in and done well for them last season as well. Japhet Tanganga, for example, and he's continued his good progress. So it's going to be a really difficult game, and Jose is going to set his side up. Like he has a game plan. That's the thing about Jose Mourinho. He has a game plan, and he will stick to it. And he will, if you execute it perfectly, you are at least guaranteed a point. Because Tottenham this season, especially, they've conceded the least number of goals in the Premier League, and this season especially, their focus is defense and then counter. And to be fair to them, they have the players to do it. Bergwijn, Kane and Son Heung-min on the counter is just absolutely deadly. We saw that in the North London derby against Arsenal. But that doesn't mean obviously you can't get a result against them. I think, the first game against Everton, we're going to keep it as an aberration. But, the game against Crystal Palace last weekend, I thought, Vicente Guaita, obviously impressive performance, unbelievable goalkeeping from him. But, I think a better team could have taken advantage. I think Manchester City showed they just aren't clinical enough. Manchester City this year, that's been sort of their issue this year. But they are actually quite. If they were clinical, I think that game would have had a different scoreline. But yeah, I mean, I think Harry Kane's just become a very, very good player as well. So I mean, and I say very good player because he's overall become a very good player. Like his link-up play has always been there, but it's never been to the level that it is this season. And him and Son Heung-min, like I said before, it reminds me of prime Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba, obviously, optimized to the modern game and to the strengths of Kane and Son Heung-min as well. But speaking of Tottenham and one of their new signings, Gareth Bale, obviously, is not featured much this year. And whenever he has, he's kind of come off the bench. He's going to miss. He's going to be a doubt for the game against Liverpool. He was ill. He didn't train with the team. He trained indoors and not even outdoors. But obviously, he will be assessed before the game. Eric Lamela and Jafet Tanganga remain unavailable for this game. Tanganga damaged his shoulder against Antwerp in the Europa League, so he will be out for a couple of weeks. Doesn't require surgery, so I guess for Spurs fans, that's a good news. But he will definitely not feature against Liverpool. Now, meanwhile, coming out to the Liverpool side of things, Liverpool are going to remain without James Milner and Xherdan Shaqiri, alongside long-term injuries in Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk as well. The concern, however, for me personally, is the fact that Joel Matip had to be taken off at halftime. I think, obviously he's going to be assessed before the game, but he had a sore back. It's going to be difficult. Naby Keita obviously also missed the game against Fulham with some sort of injury, and he was involved in warm-ups. And we have to see how basically Keita and Matip will be assessed before the game, and then we'll see if they feature. I personally want Matip to feature more than Keita, even because I think Keita, we've got enough cover for him. And we've kind of played most of the year without him, so it shouldn't be much of an issue. But Matip, obviously, that's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Tsimikas and Diogo Jota also will not be coming up against Tottenham because of injuries that they sustained against Midtjylland. Again, don't get me started on it. I've ranted on and on about it. I'm not even gonna talk about it. Thiago obviously also remains unavailable. Rumors are he's going to be fit only in January, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I think that's pretty much my preview. I think I anticipate a very good game. Tactically, I think we will have a lot of the ball, especially considering we're the ones playing at home. But our high line, Son Heung-min's movement, Steven Bergwijn's movement, and Dombele's movement, I think, and Harry Kane's link-up play, I think that's going to be very, very crucial. And how I think Fabinho is going to have to shoulder a lot of responsibility of handling Harry Kane, while Joel Matip probably has to shoulder the responsibility of handling sort of the runs that go in behind. So for me, I think it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be one of those squeaky bum games, I think, because I do think even if we have just a slender lead, if we have just a 1-goal lead, even until late in the game, I will never rule out Tottenham. So, it's going to be one of those games where we need to get a 2-goal advantage, and we need to keep a 2-goal advantage. We can't allow Tottenham back into the game at any point in time. I think it's going to be a typical Jose Mourinho game. They're going to be abrasive. They're going to be physical. They're going to foul you. They're going to antagonize you. But there is going to be chances to score. There's going to be plenty of chances to score, I think. Tottenham will also get their own chances. And Alisson, our backline, they need to be sharp as well. And Alisson looked very sharp against Fulham. Hopefully that continues against Tottenham as well. But I think that, to me, it's going to be close. I do think Jose Mourinho's side have the capability to pull out a draw, at least, if not a win. Both sides obviously coming up after 1-1 draws, Liverpool against Fulham and Tottenham against Crystal Palace. So both of them will be looking to get a win, just because otherwise, if Tottenham and Liverpool draw, then Leicester have a chance to go top of the table. So whoever comes out of this comes out with a 3-point lead, which could eventually go down to just 1 point if Leicester win. But this is one of those games that has a lot riding on it, because as we get closer and closer to the mid-season mark, to as we get closer to the end of the season, basically, I think the games sort of pick up in intensity, pick up in the importance as well. So this is going to be crucial. I think this is going to be very, very crucial as a game. This is also going to be crucial for Tottenham, because whatever title ambitions they have, if they can get a good performance in this game, even if they lose while performing well, that might boost their morale, and that'll give them something to sort of cheer for. And I think they came into this season with ambitions of a Champions League finish, a Champions League place. But now that they're in a title fight, I think Jose is going to have them pumped up, and the chance to sort of bring a first title to Tottenham in many, many years. As a Liverpool fan, I got to say I know how that feels, because last season was that season for us, and even the season before that was that season for us. Obviously, City got the title the year before, but it just there's a special feeling to it, and I know the Tottenham players will be up for it. So they're not going to make it easy on us. That's all I'll say. But predictions. I'm gonna go with a. I know I said I'd prefer a 2 goal advantage and stuff like that, but I am gonna go with a very narrow 1-0. I think I'm gonna go with 1-0. I think we're gonna get 1 goal. I don't anticipate more than that. If we get more than that, anything's beyond that is a bonus. I think it's going to be a 1-0. We're going to find it difficult to score against them, but I think eventually we will. And I do think there is a good chance that it will be a Mo Salah penalty that gets the job done. But yeah, that is my prediction for Tottenham versus Liverpool. I'm looking forward to an exciting game tomorrow. Top of the table clash. It's been a long time since I felt this way. Obviously, Manchester City is obviously one team that, the one team that's always been challenging the last couple of years. It's good to have another team challenging us this year. And it's good for the Premier League. And hopefully Liverpool can prove why, there's a difference between someone who's won the title, who is a perennial title contender, and someone who's maybe a new kid on the block. But that is going to do it for my preview. Tottenham Hotspur. I will have raw reactions for the game tomorrow. And beyond that, I will also have a post-game analysis with a Spurs fan who's been on the podcast before. So if you guys are interested, do check all those episodes out. But that is going to do it from me for today. I will see you guys next time. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you and goodbye.